welcome to my presentation. I'm Busra Jaunoo, the Careers Digital Media Coordinator for the University of London Career Service, where since a year and a half since now, I've been exploring and getting passionate about learning design, and especially I've been exploring multimedia formats in e-learning design. So this presentation will be just about how we use multimedia formats to engage our students. So let's dive in straight away by quickly clarifying what we mean by multimedia. So it's quite self-explanatory. Multimedia are all those formats that combine multiple medias. So it can be a mixture of content, for example, images, videos, audios, interactive element, just to create a richer and more engaging and immersive experience for users. So just to give you some example, even the slides I'm using right now to present is an example of multimedia, as they contain text, images. Later on, we're going to see videos, but multimedia can also be something more elaborate and complex, like maybe a branching scenarios with quizzes and screen to cameras or a virtual learning experience. The main asset of multimedia formats is the fact that it's a multi-sensory learning experience. And this is actually has been proven through different researches in cognitive science, simply in how our brain learn. It's extremely effective in terms of content retention and of memorization of the learning content in the long-term memory as well. So in other words, each of the various types of media support the learning by enable the learners to use their different senses. Maybe rather than simply read words, they can also hear and see the content. And this not only enriches the learning experience, but also promote a deeper understanding of the content. So they are very powerful tool, and I'm going to show you through this next slide how powerful multimedia can be compared to a traditional text-based content. So I've chosen a random topic, the psychoanalytical theory. In this case, just any topic, maybe a topic that could have been included in an e-learning course for psychology students, to show you how striking this difference is. So here on the right, we have the psychoanalytic theory explained textually. So we can even read it just for me to make it more evident for you. In Freud's model, the psyche consists of three different elements: the id, the ego, and the superego. The id is the aspect of personality that is driven by internal and basic drives and needs, and so on and so on. So we can see that it is in terms of vocabulary, there is not any problem. There is not any issues in terms of comprehension. But let's now shift our attention to the infographic here on the left, to what we can call a multimedia format. Here, the author of the infographic has presented the same psychoanalytic theory, but using also visual, using this metaphor of the iceberg to, for example, present the fact that in this, oops, I shouldn't have clicked. I was saying to present, for example, that there are three main elements in the psychoanalytic theory and three main levels of consciousness. And I don't even need to read the longer text. My brain, my eyes are simply able to scan it and to understand all the core message of the psychoanalytical theory. So as we can see, multimedia and visual elements as well in multimedia are very powerful and very effective, because as Richard Meyer, an educational psychology expert, said with these simple words, people learn better from words and pictures together than from words alone. This seems a quite simplistic quote, but is actually quite pregnant and significant, as it is based on several researches and studies in cognitive studies where this education psychology Richard Mayer tested students submitting to them learning content in multimedia formats and then not in multimedia formats, and all of the time the results were coming out with the student showing better results when learning through multimedia. But in details, I want now to tell you what are the benefits of multimedia formats and how it really facilitates learning. I have identified a total of 3 main benefits in using multimedia formats in e-learning. Multimedia decreases cognitive overload, it engages learners, and it also fosters content retention and promote deeper understanding. So I'm gonna explain you also through example each of these 3 main benefits in the 3 next slides. So multimedia significantly decreases cognitive overload. So just to make sure we are on the same page, I'm going to explain quickly what is cognitive overload. So it's just the situation where a student or somebody in general is given too much information at once, or too many simultaneous tasks, which can result in simply being overwhelmed by the information and not being able to understand, process the information, or to carry out the task, because we are human beings and as such we have limits in our cognitive processing capacities. And multimedia is actually the perfect solution for that, because multimedia is by nature full of animation. So thanks maybe to timed animation, to pop-up windows, to content that appears once you hover on an element of the infographic, the content is not presented all in once, but it is segmented into more digestible chunks, which is great for decreasing or eliminating cognitive overload, as there are several evidence-based researches that show how presenting the information on a segmented way allow the learners to process each segment independently and also then build this understanding in a gradual way. Second benefit of multimedia is the fact that increases engagement. So multimedia is certainly more engaging because it's much more visual, is much more appealing and attractive to learners. But the main reason also why it keeps, not only it engages, but it keeps learners engaged is thanks to the diversity in content. Variety, in fact, keeps learners interested. A mix of videos, for example, animation, interactive content can break, for example, a long textual paragraph and prevents monotony. Not only using also visuals and maybe audio in contrast to static element, whatever we are trying to present will be brought to life. And just to demonstrate you the second benefit of multimedia, I have taken an example from the provision of my team, the Career Service of the University of London. So this is actually a resource that is part of a big piece of work of a micro module, which aim was to help students understand what we mean by 10 global employability skills. In this case, the example in question is testimonials on adaptability and resilience. Testimonial we have been given by one of our employers. So to showcase you the striking difference, I have transcribed this multimedia format, which is actually an audio visualizer here. so it's in text, and I'm gonna now click play just for you to listen to it and see how much more engaging is this multimedia format.
Yes, what I've learned to do is that if you want to see every setback as a full stop, then you are not motivated to go beyond that point. I see setbacks as an opportunity to press a lot more forward. And so I keep doing the right things.
Yeah, so as we can see, compared to the textual here transcription, and also considering that this audio visualizer is part of content that also include text, can see how this video with the sound wave, with the timed subtitle, with the picture of the speaker, just bring this quote much more to life and can also break the monotony of the text. Let's go now to the third benefit of multimedia for facilitating e-learning. So multimedia promotes content retention and also deeper understanding quickly. This has to do with another discovery of in the world of cognitive science. So cognitive and educational psychologists, thanks to many researches and experiments, have discovered that learners, students, if they are learn through content that is presented through multiple channels. By channels, I mean maybe by reading, so visual channel, by listening, so the auditory channel. They just use all these different channels to build their understanding little by little and understand a topic better. So students simply absorb information more effectively when it's presented, not only in a textual way, but also maybe in an auditory way or in a visual way through a pictorial asset or through a conceptual map and so on. And to demonstrate this third benefit, I have taken another example here from our graphical assets. So here we have what is a key framework for the University of London Career Service. The career stages framework that help us to understand better where our students are in their career journeys. Some of them are career starters, just starting their career. Some of them are trying to climb the ladder and get a promotion and so on. So I have once again put the example in question in a textual way, and then here in this case is not a pictorial form, but in a conceptual map. So we cannot see any picture, but it's still very easy to scan what we have here, this conceptual map on the right, thanks to the color codings, thanks to the segmentation of the content inside these round rectangles, and thanks to the usage of of just the core words. I don't even have to read it. I straight away understand the main concept of the career stages framework. And for example, that the career starters are students with limited work experience, which objective is to find their first job role, and so on. Yeah, but now let's go to our multimedia approach to engage our students. So just to give you a bit of context, as many of you will not know anything about our team, I'm gonna briefly present ourselves and also our student. In this way, you can understand better why we make certain choices in creating our asynchronous multimedia resources. So we are a career service which support is completely remote. and digital because our students are remote students. We call them distance and flexible learners, and they study online from a bit all over the world. We have students in Australia, in Singapore, Pakistan, North America, and so on. It is a very big cohort of 40,000 students with limited time, as a little percentage is just at the start of his career, so maybe he's devoting most of his time to his degree course, but a very big percentage is maybe trying to juggle his family life, already working full-time, and has enrolled in a full-time degree course just to expand his academic background. So as we can understand, we are talking about students that are quite busy. For this reason, not the totality, but a big part of our resources are asynchronous. We also have live webinars, but we also create quite a lot of resources that can simply be consulted in students' free time. They are self-paced, they don't require much time to go through, and they always contain relatable examples, thus learners are always more engaged when we use real life examples that can talk to their personal working scenarios. And now that you have all these concepts, let's go to the creme de la creme. I'm gonna analyze with you and show you the multimedia resource I have created as part of a micro module on 10 global employability skills, which aim was to guide students in developing their skills and also be able to illustrate them during recruitment processes, maybe during an interview or in their CV. Yeah. So we have here the screenshot of the multimedia resource I'm gonna talk you through. It's actually one of a series of 10, as we have created one for each of the 10 global employability skills we wanted to focus on the micro module. We call it micro module because it takes a maximum of 7-10 hours to complete. And talking about format, it is an H5P. So just in case you haven't heard of these formats before, H5Ps are ready-made JavaScript formats. There are actually quite a few of them, which main benefit is the fact that they are quite interactive. In the matter of question, this H5P is actually an image hotspot, which main characteristic is that it enabled the learning designer to add this hotspot, here represented by the plus symbol, and once you click on them, it reveals more content. So now that you know a bit, I have a bit of context about it. Here I have included in the next slide a screencast of the image hotspot multimedia resource, and I'm gonna play it, and at the same time I can explain you better why I've chosen this particular multimedia format and what common problem in online resources fruition it has solved. So I'm gonna play it, and first of all, I'm going to explain you a bit the aim. So the aim of this image hotspot was to explain through multimedia real-life examples what the skill is. In fact, the first hotspot is in the 10 image hotspot always including video explaining what the skill was, and then provide relatable examples taken from the real life professional journey of some of our alumni and so on. Show to students then how they could illustrate the skills in their CV, in their interview. Then there is an hotspot devoted to explaining them how they could find occasions and ways of practicing and developing their skills, and then a video / quiz at the same time to rate their skill. This is a bit the journey they were brought to carry with the multimedia resource. And the main benefits that we found by using the image hotspot compared, for example, to just use the common text, heavy text format, is that the image hotspot enabled us to have an overall view of the different aspects and the components that would have enabled the students to get a deeper understanding of each skills. So without, it really was great for facilitating navigation without having to scroll, thanks to the usage of the arrows that works as a navigation aid, and thanks to the titles, they were able to understand where to start and where to continue to go through the resource. The image hotspot also has been great to reduce cognitive load by segmenting all the different components of the resource into digestible chunks into the hotspot. And also we decided to use this image hotspot because we knew that we wanted to include real life examples into a variety of formats. So at the University of London Career Service, we really experimented and created into such a variety of formats. We have our podcast, so we have a lot of audio content, we have face-to-camera content with speakers' testimonials, and this image hotspot was supporting all of these formats, which was great. No, I mean, it has just been quite successful. In fact, in the first 11 months, the Global Employability Skills Micromodules has got a total of 30,000 views. And I mean, yeah, as now it's time for question, I guess the best slide will be to show this one. I just included this slide with a few prompts for discussion right now. Yeah.